Hi everybody, as you can probably tell, this is not my regular content because today we're doing a Q&A and we're painting. I already started painting, but that's because my phone wasn't actually even recording when I thought it was, so that was actually kind of embarrassing. Okay guys, so as you just heard, we're doing a Q&A today. I'm doing a voiceover right now, but I recorded this talking the whole time. It's like a lot. I'm doing the voiceover instead because I realized that I talked a lot quicker than painted. So for maybe 20 minutes I talked, and then the other 40 minutes of painting I was not talking. I was sitting there in silence. So I was like, I'll just make this a time lapse and I'll voice over it. So if you see me talking with my hands and it looks very weird because there's no actual audio coming from that, that's the exact reason why my hands are moving like that. Okay, so for this painting, I am painting my profile picture for I don't know, literally anything, because I feel like my Spotify picture is not that good, so I'm painting that right now. So as for the Q&A, let's start with saying that I use TV Paint to animate my artwork. So that's one of my most frequently asked questions, and sometimes I edit my thumbnails on IBS Paint X. I'll take a clip from literally any shot of my visualizer and I'll just edit it to that. It's so much more convenient to do it on my phone because I kind of grew up doing it that way. That's how I started drawing and artwork, because when I had nothing left to do in 2020, I was still young in 2020, so I did make some pretty embarrassing drawings at the time. For my music, I actually use FL Studio, and my plugins are Serum, Valhalla, and sometimes I use Flex. That's what most of I Watched My Life Drain Through Rain Street Glass was made with. Flex, because that was me experimenting, and Flex had a lot of the sounds that I was trying to get, but Serum couldn't, and I was like, they're already made, so I might as well just use Flex. And it seemed to work out for me. Another frequently asked question that I get is the backstory of Zekken, and I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. Basically, Zekken is based off of the character Yuki from Sword Art Online, and I always grew up basing all of my characters and drawings off of that character, and I thought it only felt natural to do that with Zekken, because I stopped doing it years ago. I mean, I hadn't had done it in years until I made Zekken. I was like, now is the time to bring back that inspiration. So that is basically how Zekken came to be. I was inspired by Yuki Kono. Instead, I made Zekken's hair teal instead of purple, because obviously there's already a very well-known D&B artist with purple hair, and I didn't want any mix-ups, Onto the topic of that purple hair D&B artist, Sewer Slut. I never really became a fan of theirs because their music sounded too edgy for me. I was 12 when I first heard them, and my first impression was Swinging in a Cell, and that was too much for my 12-year-old brain. I got really scared and never listened to them ever again until 2 months ago, sometime after dropping I Watched My Life Drain Through Rain Street Glass, and everyone was saying this sounds like Symphony, and I googled it and found out they're the same person, and I listened to the Symphony's Return Part 2, and I literally loved it so much, so I've been a fan of Symphony since then. Okay, so this is the first progress check of the painting. It's just the background. In the community post I made asking for Q&A questions, somebody asked how to say toxic trenches, and you say it just like that. Trenches, normally, it's as simple as that. Whenever I say it, I say toxic trenches. Another person asked if Toxic Trenches was my first project. And Toxic Trenches actually is not my first project. I have two other ones, one of which is a lot more popular than Toxic Trenches, but none of my other projects have been as fun as Toxic Trenches. The other two were kind of limiting in what I could do, but Toxic Trenches feels so limitless, and I feel like I'm gonna stay Toxic Trenches for a pretty long while. Some of my musical inspirations are Mimi Death and Alice Gas and Vier Cloud. Vier Cloud made a remix of an Imogen Heap song. It's just a breakcore or DMB kind of song, and it was one of the very first I ever heard, and I fell in love with it, always had it on repeat. It was my favorite song, It was really one of the biggest inspirations of mine. And because of it, I discovered Fleeting Frozen Heart, which is still one of my favorite songs to this day. This is the second progress check. You can see that I'm starting to put in some facial features. Another thing that I think is kind of cool and maybe even a little noteworthy is that I'm self-taught both in music and art. So all my life I've kind of been drawing ever since I was little. That was my obsession. But I really started like digital art and animation in 2019. I started making music in like late 2022 because art kind of wasn't doing it for me. And I thought it would be a nice outlet. I wasn't making anything cool back then, but I was at least experimenting with it. And I've gotten to the point that I do know that if you pair a certain note with another note, it's not gonna sound good. So I've learned the pattern, I guess. So that's an accomplishment. As for digital art, I mean, I've kind of like remained at the same skill level for the past few years, but honestly, I'm proud of my skills, both in art and music. They're both really good accomplishments I don't think I could ever beat. For progress check number 3, this is pretty much like the whole thing that we're going to be working with. We only have small details left after this. In this last little bit of the video of me painting, I'm splattering purple paint onto the canvas. It gives this nice, like, messy effect, and it looks very pretty. A good example of this is on the 6 Silk Girls Dyed Snow album cover. You can see that I did it in maroon. For this piece though, I'm going to edit it and add some nice pretty glitchy effects. So this is the final result of the actual painting before editing it. It looks nice, but the eyes are kind of wonky looking. And this is the final result of the painting. I hope you guys like it. I added my signature glitch painting look, some dimension to the hair with a digital paintbrush, and I fixed up the eyes, of course, because they were looking wonky. And I didn't really know how to fix it. I tried to fix it with a marker, but then it like bled all over, so I had to paint the hair back. Well, as you would imagine, this is the end of the Q&A, so thanks for tuning in and listening to me for 7 minutes long. I really hope that I can inspire you guys in a way into making something just as cool. I'll see you guys all on the next one. Thanks for all your support.